You saw the news last night and you thought what?
Oh my God, have these guys not learned anything? Because common sense alone would say you're going after Jeff Bezos and you're putting it in writing. There's nothing private anymore, so it's going to be a public document. So what was their motive? I mean, I was just wondering what...
Okay, but let me ask you the question. Yeah. Having spent lots of time with David Pecker, which you have,
yes.
What do you think was his motive? And is it political? Because that's the overlay of all of this, which is that he is doing the bidding of the White House.
Well, let's look at the political side, because that's what people are most interested in right now. There was a falling out, we thought, between Pecker and Trump when all of a sudden the Enquirer stopped covering him as lovingly as they did. And then, of course, he agreed to cooperate with the government's investigation. Right. But as we know, with both Trump and Pecker, because these guys are really similar, no one's ever out of favor. You might be on the bench for a little while, but when they need you to come in, they're going to call you up. And they also want to keep the communication going. So I would imagine people are speculating that Trump kind of asked Pecker to do this. I think probably Pecker did it for not because necessarily to help Trump, but he knew he was going to sell a lot of copies of the Enquirer and get him a lot of publicity because here we are talking about it. It's a top story everywhere today.
Let me ask you about just the issue of blackmail and having lived inside this company yourself. You know, there have been stories now for years, and it really came out from some of the Harvey Weinstein coverage about this idea of catch and release. This idea that the company would actually you know, pursue stories and then effectively blackmail others. Did you see that in your time at the company?
Well, let's see. When I was at the company, number one, the Enquirer was one of many magazines in their stable. So I was corporate communications for the company, so I handled a lot of different things. But you know, the Enquirer certainly took time because of what it is. The catch and kill is not a new concept. This has been going on long before it got broken with Trump. When David Pecker has a collection of friends, celebrities, because he's been in this business for a long time, and people want to be friends with a guy who owns a media property like he does, he uses his properties to help his friends and punish his enemies, as any media owner would. That's why you own a media property, to influence public opinion. And he's looking to target certain people.
I would like to argue that publishers of other publications are not pursuing it in the same way you just described. You think that David Pecker is operating in the same way that Jeff Bezos is as the publisher of the Washington Post?
Let's see. Let's look
at the Salzburger family is.
No, but he is using the leverage that he gets as being a media owner to his advantage. So it's a little more cynical when we're talking about the Enquirer because the salaciousness of that brand. But many media owners have, well, Murdoch does it all the time, the people who own your company. I mean, this is why you own properties like this, because you have that ability to control what people think.
What do you think the liability is for AMI in a situation like this? Legally, if you were still working at the company, what do you think the dialogue is in the room right now about whether a prosecutor is going to look at what's happened here and say, this is blackmail, and I'm going to go after this company, I'm going to indict the company, and I'm going to indict David Pecker?
Well, more importantly, and I'm not an attorney, but I do read a lot. I play one on TV. No, seriously. If you look at the deal they made with the Southern District of New York, they had to be on their best behavior for that to get that by. One could say this violates that and could throw that out the window.
As somebody in the PR business, in terms of image making, what does this do or not do for Jeff Bezos? Because there are a lot of people today who are applauding what he has done. But at the same time, there are shareholders of Amazon who say, you know what? I don't like that he's involved in all. The Washington Post has created this distraction, plus obviously his own personal life.
I wouldn't say it's a distraction. I mean, he is the richest man in the world. He does own the Washington Post, but he owns a lot of other things. But the fact that he's stepping up and calling them on this is pretty amazing. I think that the Enquirer has gotten to where it has through the years by bullying people and having a cortege of attorneys who go after you and put that kind of stuff in writing is how they do business. But I give Bezos all the credit.